All right, our next Patreon request comes from John McKinney, who asked me to do a. I know spooky season is over, but hey, we got to keep the spooky spirit alive, right? We got to keep them spooky, scary skeletons alive. And he basically asked my pitch for a Haunted Mansion movie. As always, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link below. Head on over to my Patreon, where you guys can hit the third tier. Like I said, the link is in the description below. You guys can hit the third tier. That'll allow you access to do so. But other than that, hope you all enjoy this, and let's get started with the video. Anyway, so like I said, this is McKinney asked me to do a pitch for, or like who I would get for director, and my pitch for a Haunted Mansion movie. So, Haunted Mansion is a movie franchise that's had two movies, and the first one with Eddie Murphy sucks. The second one I like. It's not great, but it definitely, like, I never understood, like, I watched the Haunted Mansion movie, and I was like, I don't get the hate. Like, it's not great. It's not like, you know, peak cinema here, but it wasn't a movie where I was like, it wasn't as awful as people were like dragging it in theaters. Is there stuff that could have been cut out? Yeah, but it felt more like a Haunted Mansion movie than I was expecting. The cast was pretty good, but yeah. So what would I do with a Haunted Mansion movie? The big thing is that you really have to, much like the ride itself, you really have to balance between horror and fun. That's the big thing, is that there is this big line in the sand that you have to draw the line in. And you have to figure out where that line starts and stops. That's the big thing. Whenever with Haunted Mansion, even like that was the thing that was a big problem with the ride itself, was that Rolly Crump and Grace and Will Gracie had a lot of trouble trying to figure out, hey, how do we, you know, fucking figure out, do we make it spooky or silly? Like, what's the procedure here? Like, what do we do? Like, what is the procedure for this? Do we make it spooky or do we make it silly? Come on, we need a little more. we need some like direct guidance for this one. Like, what's the deal here? So, you need a director who can do spooky and almost family friendly, because there's no way we're like, I know some people on here are gonna be like, oh, I would make the movie R-rated. That's never gonna happen. That's absolutely 100% not going to happen in any way, shape, or form for a Haunted Mansion movie under Disney. Now, you can make a hard PG-13 movie, and some of you might know where I'm going with this. It might be a good idea to make like a hardcore, like a borderline R. Like, we are pushing the boundaries for PG-13. That's what could easily be the case, is that, you know, we basically get a movie that really borders on that line. And also, I gave the remake, the recent remake, you know, this kind of credit, in that the movie did have some legit scary moments and really invoke that kind of like early age PG, like that young, like that starter kit for young horror fans. So I really like to have a director who could do that. So I've got two directors in mind, and one of them I think one of them you might already kind of guess, and I hate using like big name directors, but we'll talk about him in a second. The first one I'm going to talk about is Andre Øvredal. Andre Øvredal has been making a big name in horror for a while, and that's what I think you need, is a director that not only understands horror but also knows when to draw that line. And Øvredal really understands it 100%. He gets the horror. He really gets like the whole idea of, you know, we're making a horror movie, but it's for kids. I mean, look at how well he did Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. And again, he's like a protege of Guillermo del Toro, who wanted to make a Haunted Mansion movie, but it never got off the ground. So when you can't have del Toro, you get Øvredal. And Øvredal has an impressive resume in his own right. Hell, He's doing the Bendy and the Ink Machine movie. His other movies include, like I said previously, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, fucking Autopsy of Jane Doe, and Last Voyage of the Demeter. He's a very well qualified, and also Troll Hunters. He has a very impressive, he has a very impressive resume of horror films. And I really think that he would be a solid pick for something like this. He also understands style. I mean, obviously that's one of the reasons why he got the Bendy and the Ink Machine job. So Andre Overdahl would be my first pick. My second pick, even though yes, it does sound like and I have this thing of like, oh, big name directors need to be on everything. They don't. But I do think this guy would work, and that's Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi has clearly shown that he knows how to do spooky and silly. Look at Evil Dead. He knows how to tote the line between horror and funny, and I think a Haunted Mansion would be perfect. Plus, there'd be a good chance we could get Bruce Campbell. Don't you want Bruce Campbell in your movie? Like, don't you want a Bruce Campbell appearance in your Haunted Mansion movie? I want Bruce Campbell in a Haunted Mansion movie. Yeah, that just sounds like a bad idea. I mean, that just sounds like a good idea. Sorry, I don't know. I've been saying bad idea a lot. That just sounds like a really good idea. So those are my picks for Andre Overdahl and Sam Raimi would be my top two picks. As to what I would do with a new Haunted Mansion movie, like what would be my honest pick for a Haunted Mansion movie, like what I would do with it, is probably talk about a group of paranormal investigators going into the Gracie Manor is like this. It's not like, oh, someone bought the house. I would have it be like, it's like the Amityville house, where it's like, it's had decades of hauntings, and it has a, bloody history, and have it be almost like a paranormal group of investigators going in there to, like, see if it's true or not. And that would be the big story, is that throughout the night, they get scared and terrified of what goes in there. I wouldn't have, like, this big overarching mystery of, like, oh, there's secrets of the house that you need to figure out. No! I wouldn't have that. I wouldn't have, like, a big overarching secret that ties the house together. That's what makes the Haunted Mansion ride so good, is that there is no, like, major overarching story. It's just a spooky house, and it has a lot of secrets. So I would really play into that. I would really play into that whole level of, we don't know the whole mysteries, we're just going along for the ride. And that would be my whole idea, is that we're just kind of going along for the ride, and we run it the hell out at the end of the day, at the end of the ride, and get spooked by the hitchhiker ghost at the end. That's the idea. We're kind of over. That's the thing I think with the two live action movies, is that they overcomplicated it. So just make it like the ride. You're going in, spooky shit happens, you run out. And just have it be a group of people, just a small group of people. Kind of like really invoke that whole feeling of, like Grave Encounters, that movie. Just just a PG-13 version of that. So there you go, guys. That's pretty much my pitch for a Haunted Mansion movie. But you guys tell me in the comments below, how would you make a Haunted Mansion movie? Just comment below, let me know. Once again, I'd like to thank John McKinney for this Patreon request and continued patronage. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.